I think we were talking about just like the ideal temp, or like, because another good reason to do it is that the core body, or the core temp of the body, it starts to acclimate to that.
Yeah.
So like that helps with the endurance part of it. Is that like,
without a doubt. So you become better at acclimating to heat. And so especially a lot of outdoor exercises that live in hot climates, it takes a while to heat acclimate. But if you do it regularly, you increase your body's ability to tolerate heat. You also improve the number of red blood cells that you have, so you carry oxygen just a little bit better, so you kind of get those exercise benefits through a sauna.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you could easily just be training over the wintertime, but also just doing this on the weekly, or four times. I mean, I think in the wintertime I was doing it 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
It's great.
And I actually noticed it in the springtime. Right as we got outside, I just noticed I was like way more acclimated to the heat. Besides Saturday, this past Saturday, that was hot.
It was hot.
That was insanely hot. I was like
hot
dying.
and windy.
Hot and windy, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is brutal.
Yeah.
But that is cool. I mean, have you noticed a big part of that with you?
I think so. I think there's other benefits to sauna too, that it's hard to say it's just one benefit. I think you've developed a little more oxygen carrying capacity because you have a few more red blood cells.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think the growth hormone and heat shock proteins and all those things provide some exercise benefits. So it's hard to say it's just the heat acclimation, but certainly you acclimate to heat better if you sauna regularly. Yeah, and
it also helps with the plasma being able to carry more, or hold more, retain that water, correct? Is that?
Yeah, so I think your body becomes more efficient at cooling itself when you sauna regularly. So your body's, you sweat sooner and more probably, which is a good thing. You thermoregulate better.
Yeah.
So when you get in a not as hot environment, you're used to sitting in a 180-degree sauna, now you exercise in 90-degree weather, you tolerate that much better.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I think I just thought about this. Does the sauna help with inflammation as well, or is that just ice bath?
It does. No, it does help with inflammation. I don't know the exact mechanism that works on. It's probably the heat shock proteins and the growth factors that help decrease damaged tissue and help that healing process. But I'm not really familiar with the inflammatory process and how it works. I'm sure there's a mechanism.
Yeah, for sure. Dang. I am blown away by just everything to that with the heat training. And that just means I got to up my game. I'm gonna go 7 times a week. I mean, if it helps protect you from all sorts of, every type of death or whatever it may be.
Right.
That's
no, it's really good for you. There's no question that sauna is really good for us.
Yeah, because it also helps with your immune system too.
Correct.
With building that up. I don't know. I have no idea how it can do that, but it does in some way.
Yep. There's evidence that you have decreased sickness. People that sauna regularly have decreased sickness.
Yeah.
I think it's just the fact that you put your body in physiologic stress. So I think the same thing happens if you get in a cold tub or in super cold weather. You develop what they call cold shock proteins, which act just like heat shock proteins. So I think our body responds to physiologic stress in good ways. It makes our body stronger when we stress our body. And so whether that's through exercise or fasting or hot or cold or whatever, when you put your body in stress, it has to respond, and it usually responds by getting better.
Dang. That is really cool. So are you doing any ice bathing right now?
I don't the only time I ever ice bath is if I do a workout where I know I'm going to be really sore. So usually if I do a really high intensity workout, especially with weights or something, and I know I'm going to be miserable the next day, I think ice really helps with that. It helps with delayed onset muscle soreness. It helps with just the kind of stiffness from a tough workout.
Yeah. So
I don't really race or anything anymore. I don't really compete in stuff. So to me, it's not that important that I ice bath.
Yeah.
I can just take a day off whenever I want if I know I'm going to be sore the next day, and I probably do that. But I think for people in competition, it's still a valuable tool for sure.
Dang, I need to. Well, I'm not competing or anything, but I'm going regularly every day, like 30 miles almost every day on the bike. And I need to do that. But I was always thinking ice baths, it's it's a placebo effect or it doesn't really do anything. It's either like somebody's like, no, it does this, it's good, or it's either like, no, it doesn't do anything. And that's why I was like, I have no idea.
It's kind of funny because there's this anti-ice movement that appeared. I don't know where it started. There's been a few people that kind of said ice is bad for you. It's not good for you. You shouldn't do it.
Right.
I think that goes against all the evidence in the literature. I think ice is really good for you. It's a great anti-inflammatory. And when we have excess inflammation, we should ice. I don't think there's any question. I think the literature is really strong on that. And if you watch the NBA or the Tour de France or Major League Baseball or almost any pro sport, football, whatever, those guys are icing after their games. I mean, you see LeBron James sitting on the bench at the end of the game with 2 ice packs on his knees. There's a reason he's icing because it works really effectively. So I don't think ice is bad. I think ice is really good. It just has to be used at the right times and for the right things.
Yeah. Because I always knew, like, if you had injured your arm or whatever it is, your wrist, put some ice on it. It'll help that. But I just never really thought like the big amount would be effective or doing it. I mean, when do you like right after a workout?
Yeah, that's the best time, right after the workout. So, I mean, a little active recovery, make sure you get some, after a hard workout, you might want to do some slow cardio or something for 10 or 15 minutes, just kind of let the blood move around the tissues. But then ice is that's a really good time to ice.
Yeah. Okay. So
you'll feel really good after an ice bath.
I've never done it.
It's pretty amazing.
I'm a wussy when it comes to the cold.
Most of us are, but it brings your legs back like no other. You get out of there and it's like, wow, that's really impressive.
Dang. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna do it. Tomorrow.
Try it sometime.
Tomorrow after my big ride, I'm going to be doing it.
There you go.
I'm going to go to the store. I don't have any.
Report back and let us know how bad it was.
I'm going to report back. I'm going to tell you how cold I was. But how long do you? I should only stay in there for
8 to 10 minutes is plenty, and you might not even tolerate that much.
No way.
Usually, what I'll say is, so if it's an all leg workout, if it's a big cycling event, you just need to get your legs in there. You don't need to get your whole body in there. So sit in a bathtub, dump a bag of ice, and run the cold water, and sit and suffer for 7 minutes. It's intense, but it really does bring your legs back and takes down that inflammation. Stops that inflammatory process.
Gotcha. And then cons to it. I mean, you can overdo it, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think you could. Most people won't because it's so cold. They're kind of miserable.
Yeah, they don't want to go any further.
Yeah.
I've heard. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't think there's any huge cons to it. I mean, tissue damage, if you get tissue too cold, is a problem. But most people won't do that. Yeah. I don't like chemical cold. So the chemical ice packs I'm not a fan of. Just good old-fashioned real ice.
Never really thought about the chemical cold. I just always thought it's cold.
It just gets too cold. The chemical cold gets too cold, and you can do frostbite or tissue damage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I'm going to give this a big try now and see if tomorrow after the ride I feel good, like the legs feel good after it, and then the next day, if I can just...
It should help.
Yeah, I should be able to start winning the Tour de France now.
Right on.
Hopefully.
With your genetics, that's for sure.
No way. I'm just a tiny guy. That's it. Bob is you are more the cross. You're like
I am not made to ride a bike for sure.
I don't think I am. I'm just tiny. I'm a little runt. That's it. Dang, that's funny. Okay, ice bath. I'm going to be doing that. I think another thing that I wanted to go into is going to be more of heart rate variability.
Oh, yeah.
Now, heart rate variability, I've been trying to find some good stuff on it. It's a little complex for my mind to really grasp and or explain, but you know a lot more about it, correct? I
know some about it. I'm certainly not an exercise physiologist, but I think I understand it pretty well. So let's just talk about heart rate for a little bit here. So let's just say my resting heart rate is 60 beats per minute, which is just easy math, 1 beat per second. So most of us think it would just be a beat on the second every second. Mm-hmm. Heart rate variability is actually the space between the beats. So if you had a heart rate that beat on the second every second, that would be very little heart rate variability. More dramatic heart rate variability would be, let's say maybe it beat on the first second and a half, and then it beat again a half a second later, and then it beat again another second and a half later, and then it beat again 3/4 of a second later. So there's variability between the beats.
Yeah.
That's physiologically really good. That's a good thing. We want variability between heartbeats. And that's controlled by our autonomic nervous system, which is the part of our nervous system that we don't have control over. People that have very little variability in their heart rate are usually under some kind of stress. So that could be emotional stress, that could be physical stress, that could be someone that's overtrained, that could be someone that's underslept or eating poorly, or there can be all kinds of factors. And in fact, in a lot of the psychology literature, they're looking at this now for people that are really anxious. They have very low heart rate variability, so they're using this to track anxiety. So it's a marker for stressors in the body.
Yeah.
And so it's a really great training tool. And things like the Apple Watch and some of these wearables now will track that for you. Mm-hmm. The only problem with tracking heart rate variability on a wearable is you have to be pretty stationary to get an accurate reading. So my let's say my Apple Watch is tracking my heart rate while I'm moving around. I'm probably going to get some misinformation on each heartbeat because my wrist is moving around. So the best way to track it is to just be still. And then on the Apple Watch, you do the breathing for a minute, and it'll track your heart rate variability every time you do the breathing, the 1 minute of breathing. So you get in a calm place, you sit down, you breathe for 1 minute, and then it tracks your heart rate variability.
Yeah.
And then the lower the number, the less rested or the less healthy you are. The higher the number, the more you're ready for more physiologic stress.
Gotcha.
So if I were a coach tracking a bunch of athletes, I could track their heart rate variability day to day. And if someone's heart rate variability, let's say, was 13, I would say that's a low number. Maybe we ought to back off on your training a little bit today.
Yeah.
If their heart rate variability was 55, I'd say, man, you're well rested. You're not stressed. Let's pound it today.
Yeah.
So it's just another tool we can watch closely to see how well we're recovered and how hard we can train that day.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a cool training method.
Yeah. I when you mentioned it not long ago, I've been using it as much as I can. I'm not nearly as dedicated as you are because I think you use it almost every day, correct?
I track mine every day. It doesn't affect my workouts because I'm not training for anything, and I just kind of do the same workouts.
Yeah.
I mean, I just get up and I'm going to work out that day regardless.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to track it and say, man, maybe I need a little sleep, or maybe I'm overstressed, or maybe I ought to train a little less today because I'm not looking so good on my heart rate variability.
Yeah, I know that before you brought the HRV up, heart rate variability, and I was kind of aware of that. I've always gone off of work out more of how you feel that day. And because I've just been like training with my dad and like everyone else are just like freaks on the bike. I'm like, I need to do everything that I can to stay up with these guys and get better and try to pass them or whatever it is. So I've been doing what I can to use the heart rate variability as much as possible. I feel like it is very accurate.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's very accurate?
I think it is. I think there's good evidence behind it. I think it's just another marker we can use. So how you feel is a really good marker. If you feel crappy that day, maybe you don't train as hard that day, and that's a good measure. Or maybe you feel like you're getting sick or whatever. But heart rate variability might tell you that before you notice how you feel. You might actually get some information like, man, I'm 3 days in a row of really crappy heart rate variability. Maybe I'm coming down with something.
Yeah.
Or maybe I need some sleep, or maybe I need to calm down a little bit.
Yeah. And I know that you mentioned like LeBron James, his coach uses it, or his coach uses it on him to let him know like, no, today let's kind of make it easy and not too much.
Right. Or maybe you need to take a nap today. You're not looking well rested. You need to, maybe you stay in and take a nap today before today's game or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily, it's not really, those who are listening, it's not really a recovery. It is a recovery thing to do because you can look at that and go, I need to just take the day off. And I've done that like many times. I've literally just gone, okay, I'm literally going to sit on the couch and let my legs rest big time. And then the next day I realized I can go at it really hard, like better than I've ever done before, which is really cool. So I think that's awesome. And another kind of leading into that, I think, is one more thing, or we've got a couple other things we can get into, is beet juice.
Oh, yeah.
Beet juice.
Interesting topic.
Very interesting, because how long have you been, are